Hello. We will start streaming once we have more people joining. Okay, this should be good enough. Hey GST, can you hear me? Awesome. Okay, well, we should probably start then. The first group that I'm going to review is going to be filmmakers. I don't have any particular order for these, I just selected them by random. Cool. I'm gonna start with the tokens, or the starters. Here, actually, let me zoom that in better. Alright, Prop Master. When this card is cast, give yourself a token extra, then roll camera. Roll camera. Actually, I'll start with the little lore entry here. The filmmakers work in the industry as the primary card art creators and secondary entertainment option. Boxcars always come first, after all. Always working for perfection, there's no time to slow down for their constant gear generation and rapid attacks. The keywords are roll camera. Put a Light's Blessing on the leftmost card space in your hand without a blessing. And that Light's Blessing, when you cast a card from this space, all gears in play gain 50-50. But if it was a filmmaker, attach it to a target fighter manifested as a gear. Cool. Here's the token extras. It's attached to a target fighter. When this card attacks, it gains 50 health. So we got Camera Operator. When this card is cast, give yourself a token extra, then roll camera. It's the same exact thing with this other star. Cool. We got Action Scene. When this card is cast, select and recur a filmmaker in your hand from the graveyard that's epic or below. If this card costs 2 studs or less, if that card costs 2 studs or less, roll the camera. Sad Scene. Common blue, cost 1 white and 1 blue. When this card is cast, a target enemy fighter loses 100 power, then search your deck for a filmmaker. When you cast 4 cards in one turn, recur this card except it has inert when discarded. Oh. Okay, so it's like the Nefico card. Great. Cut. At the start of your turn, roll camera. Once, when you cast a card from a blessing space, transform this card into action. Action. Whenever you cast a card from a blessed space, all gears in your hand gain 100-100. Then, attach a flaw to this card. Once, when this card has 3 gears on it, animate it. During your end step, transform this into cut. Great. So it fits the brief. Hooray. I would like to note right now that the token extras are not inert in any way. So that is a little interesting. We have the Sound Crew. When you cast your second gear each turn, recur this card and a Filmmaker card in your graveyard. When this card attacks and destroys another fighter, all enemy fighters lose 50 power. Give yourself a token extra. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. We have Gaffer. When you cast your second gear each turn, this card gains 150 health and power. When this card attacks and destroys another, give yourself a token extra and roll camera. Casting Director. Whenever you cast your second gear each turn, unlock this fighter. When this card attacks and destroys another, search your deck for a Filmmaker. These cards have really small stats, but the token extras make them get a lot bigger. I think it's pretty cool. It's a little interesting because they're not inert, so you can use them as discard fodder or just buff your fighters with them. Pretty cool. Next up, we have Assistant Director. Whenever you attach a gear, this fighter gains 50 health and 150 power and overload. Then roll camera. I don't really like that stacking. It just seems really icky. Director. Whenever you cast a gear, you gain 1 white. Once each turn, if you've cast 5 gears, give yourself a deleted scene. Holy. Oh. Are they really? Oh, huh. I did not notice that actually. Yikes. I think it's. I I can understand it because the token extras are the main source of stats. It's kind of strange and finicky, but I can kind of see it at least. Let's see. Anyways, the deleted scene. Gear stats are minus 1,000 health and power. Zombified. Attach this card to a fighter. When the attached fighter dies, give yourself a zombified token extra. X is the original fighter's total stats. Um, I don't understand. So, is it talking about the base fighter stats or before it attached? Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Um, sure, I guess if it works, man. Let's see. I want to guest star. Okay, it doesn't say on cast, but I'm just going to assume it does. When this card is cast, for each gear in your graveyard, this fighter gains 50 health and power. Um, that seems pretty good for its cost. In fact, that seems really, really good. Um, Swarm of Razors would probably make that a pretty big issue, especially because it's so cheap. Which one? Oh my god, you're right. That is what is it called? Deck collector. It's deck collector but for gears. That's great. I don't see an issue with it though. This whole deck, yeah, as Jesse said, it's stars, but not stars. Which I think is okay. I think it's off-putting, and I would definitely deduce points from it for that, or deduct. But it's not too bad. The group overall is pretty. Uh, it's pretty inoffensive. So cool. Yeah, I don't. Where do these perfect? Where does perfect scene come in? Oh, it's a terrarium. Okay. Perfect scene. Whenever you cast a card from a blessed card space, search your deck for a Filmmaker. That's pretty cool. Yeah, whatever. This deck has a really bad curve, but making tricolors hard, so I appreciate the effort. I Yeah, and Stars curve. No, hold on a second. At least Stars has like the one white, one blue fighter, right? It makes it somewhat tolerable. This one doesn't have a single like 1/2 drop. Oh yeah, yeah. Sound Crew, Narcomoeba. Yeah, it's an okay group. I didn't actually fill out a lot of these things, so my fault. There's just a little slide right there. This I gave this group a 21 out of 45. I like the theming enough. It was okay. Uh, hmm? Yeah, it was okay. Oh, what's up? Oh, was it really? Nah, I'll fix it later. Oops. Um, for all intents and purposes, this is good enough. Yeah, I thought the theming was okay. It fits the brief. Um, it was cool enough. Um, for the appeal, they grow, and I think that's cool. It works. It's just not that interesting. Yeah, I don't know. And the balancing is cool. It's sufficient. Whatever. I'm not pulling my hair out because of any broken cards, so we're good. Let's go on to the next one, shall we? Do you have anything else to say, JSTM? Yeah, that's pretty rough. Yeah. Anyways, on to the next one. We have shoppers. Give it 1 second. My little laptop's struggling to survive right now. I'm streaming it on Discord and YouTube. Cool. Let's read the little lore snippet real quick. Okay. Javion Mall is having its Black Friday sale, and all the consumers of Javion are stoked to buy things while they have the chance. However, their greed is seen as detestable by the mysterious figure that commands their shopping spree to be interrupted. Their keyword is awaken. All gears on the fighter manifest as XX gears. X is their stat bonuses. Cool. Let's start with the starters. Frenzied Consumerist. Once each turn, whenever you discard a card, give yourself a commodity. The commodities are inert null zones. Attach this card to a target fighter. When this card awakens, double its stats. I assume that means the gear stats because the awakened commodity is 200, 200. We have Leisure Shopper. Once each turn, whenever you cast a shopper, give yourself a commodity. Cool. Yeah, the starters aren't very interesting. They work. Good enough. Up next, we have Maul Janitor. Twice each turn, whenever an allied gear is cast, all enemy fighters lose 50 health and power and awaken this fighter. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's pretty annoying, but I guess. Actually, I don't know how I feel about this card. It's only twice each turn, but that's a lot of annoying dust and bread. Anyways, on to the next one. Multiplier. When allied effects are targeted twice this turn, all gears on a target allied fighter gain 100 health. I assume that's a 100 zero stat bonus. Then awaken that fighter. Okay. Mall Cashier. When you discard your second card each turn, all gears on a target allied fighter gain 100 power. Then awaken that fighter. I don't. This one, Mall Cashier seems a lot better than Multiplier, but I don't know. I guess it just depends on the usage. Yeah, but it also revolves around commodities, so I guess it makes sense. You could have more glass cannons. Uh, Followers of the Savior. Once each turn, whenever you awaken, give yourself a Nathan stud. Then search your deck for a shopper fighter. Cool. I don't know why it's giving Nathan studs, but tricolor is gonna tricolor, I guess. Whatever. Up next we have Stalker Guy. It's inert and plate. Once each turn, whenever you cast a gear, give yourself a commodity. Oh, then select 3 cards in your hand. They become red, green, and yellow respectively. All cards targeted this way lose inertia. Um, that's pretty wordy, but it's cool enough, I guess. It's like circle stuff. Sure. Up next we have the terrain, the Mall Javion. When this card is cast or destroyed, give yourself a commodity. When you've targeted 3 times this turn, animate this card. And it animates into Collapsing Mall. Once each turn, whenever an effect targets this card, give yourself 2 uncommon Shoppers Fighters. That's really good, I think. Yeah, it seems pretty decent. That seems really good for stud fixing, and just getting more fighters out there. Up next, we have the Savior Schemes. Awaken a target fighter. If there was a commodity on that fighter, give yourself 2 commodities and inject this card. All gears in your hand gain a 50/50 stat bonus. Yeah, cool. I kind of like this card, actually. I love the actions that inject, like Ideals Intertwined. Up next, we have Silva the Savior. Rank 7. Twice each turn, when an allied gear awakens, double this card's power. The awakened gears gains power equal to this card's power, overload, and continued. That's really wordy, and that's also a lot of gears. I assume that the continued copy doesn't have any stats, but I would not be. Does it have stats? Except it doesn't give overload and continued, you know? Oh, wait, you're right, yeah. But continued, I guess that's oof. But yeah, that's I guess, yeah. And like it does something with the group too, so I can at least give it props for that. It seems just kind of out of place though. I love flavor. Um, and I think the final card, yeah, Ferrero #1 manager. If you have 7 or more commodities in your graveyard, this card has haste. When this card is cast, attach 4 commodities to it. Whenever a gear awakens, this card gains its stats. When this card attacks, awaken all allied fighters. Um. Oh, so this card gets what? 1400, 500? Hmm. And then it awakens. It summons 4 200, 200s. Um, that's it's a lot of board presence, I guess. But I'm sure it's not too bad, you know. It's a pretty like expensive card. Um, Overall, yeah, I actually like this group bit. I think it's pretty cool how it doubles the gear stats and brings them into play. I think that fits what, 2 briefs? Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I like the awakening thing. Yeah, go for it. I think it's fine. It doesn't like, yeah, it doesn't hurt. It just reminds me of Biggs, but it's just kind of a strange thing to have. But it doesn't hurt. Whatever. Yeah, blocks cards players versus counting, huh? No, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, that's it for shoppers. I didn't actually. I don't think I filled out very much on the slides. Yeah. Whoops. I forgot to fill them in. But anyways, I gave the theming a 10 out of 15. Um, it fit the brief, and I liked the flavor of everything. It was pretty cool. The appeal, I would give it a 15 out of 20. Personally, I would like to play it. It seems like a pretty fun deck. And the balancing was 6 out of 10. I, again, was not pulling my hair out, so we're pretty good. Do you have anything else to say, GST, before we move on? Mhm. Oh yeah. Um, have you played? I'm sure that you've played Circle Stud in the past year. It does. I'll give Stalker Guy the benefit of the doubt and assume that's what they were going for. But yes, I was unsure. It is an easy fix. Is there anything else? Hmm. Yeah, groups having Necro Syndicate mechanics. I'm trying to think of any groups that have it that are not planets. But even that's a Lord Breaker card. Never mind. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. No, yeah, that adds up. I don't think we have a pre. Um, did we get rid of Defender of Democracy from the Defend the Train precon? Okay, yeah. Um, give me 1 second. What? Hold on, stud. What does Graph have to ask? You know what? He could ping me for it, dude. Just, I'm gonna move on to the next one. We got the great game upcoming. Let's see. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. We have the great game up now. Harris foresees that the world will soon face a calamity. The information leaks, and the Thunderworld's espionagerie enters a frenzy. The game begins. Thus, Harris's prophecy fulfills itself. There. Keyword is extract. A card generates. If it does, then it becomes inert in all zones. If it doesn't, move it to its controller's hand. Let me just read these notes real quick. Depending on the zone it's from, extracting a card counts as search, recur, return, etc. for effects. Um, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm sure it'll make more once I read the group. Anti-generate doesn't work on a nerd card because they cannot generate already. Yeah, sure, good enough. Yeah, the great game was a real thing. Cool. Let's start with our starter. Is there more than one? Okay. We have the parametric umpire. Once each turn, when you've discarded a card, extract a target allied fighter in the newest card in your base plate. Um, easy 2 yellow, crazy curve. We'll go for it. Umberlord's Hand. When this card is cast or dies, give yourself a Dazier. Extract the topmost cheapest colored card of your deck. That's such awkward wording. Yikes. Um, Topmost cheapest colored card of your deck. Okay, sure. It extracts the top card of your deck if it's colored. On to the next one. We have Dazier. I'm probably butchering how it's pronounced. Inert in all zones. Extract a target allied fighter in your terrain. If you had no more than 4 or less colored sets this turn, they gain 300 health and power. Um, Hold on a second. Can't you use Parametric Umpire into Umberlord's Hand into a Dazier to get a 900? 550 on turn 1. Yikes. Anyways, much needed gap. Inert and base plate. Once each turn, whenever you cast a fighter that is inert in play, search your deck for a card that costs less than it and unlock this. When this card dies, give yourself a Dozier. Cool. It's a card, alright. On to the next one. God Beast Fate Piece. When this card is cast, give yourself 3 Dozier. 3 of them. Okay. Whenever a fighter in play is extracted, attach a Dream Shield to it. That seems pretty good, but it's also 200, so sick. They have some really nice Dream Shield designs here, and they look very good. Next up, we have React to Blunder. Cast this card without the colorless cost if a fighter with inertia attacked and destroyed another fighter this turn. Set a target fighter stats to 500, and it anti-generates twice. That's... Why is this conditional a thing, man? It does not make any sense. But pop off, I guess. On to the next one. We have Well-Placed Pawn. Attached to a target allied fighter. During the start of your turn, if you had no more than 4 colored studs this turn, give yourself a free fleeting copy of this. Otherwise, destroy this fighter. Or the fighter that it's attached to, I assume. Yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't just play Swarm of Razors, but I guess. Bird's Eye View. Oh. No, go for it, man. Okay. Moving on. Yeah, did I guess. We have Bird's Eye View. Extract all allied colored cards inert in their zone. Okay. All terrains in all allied zones, then lose all of your colored studs. Deal 200 damage to a target fighter for every stud lost and card moved this way. This card kind of looks like it's good enough. It extracts a lot of fighters, and I'm sure something wants that, but losing all your studs is pretty rough. Now we have the terrain. I actually really like the terrain. I think it's super cool. Divine Premove. Whenever you cast a fighter with inertia, extract the newest card of your base plate. Give yourself a Dozier, and transform this card into Salesian Stalemate. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. When this card moves... Oh, sorry. Salesian Stalemate. When a card moves from extraction, search your deck for a legendary. If you can't, draw a card, and this card transforms into Jester's Gambit. Distorter's Gambit. Does that mean if your deck doesn't have any more legendaries in it? I'm going to assume that's what it means. Then we have for Salesian Stalemate. If you can't, draw a card and then it transforms. So if you have no more legendaries in your deck, then it transforms. Okay. Now we're on to Distorted Gambit. Whenever you discard an inert Great Game Fighter, summon a copy of it, except it's 500 in inert in play. We love free things, don't we? Transform this into Divine Premove. Great. Mind you, this card costs 1 yellow, so you could get it out almost instantly and in every part of the game. So, thanks. We have Scrutiny next. Extract the target fighter in the newest card in your base plate. Give yourself 2 copies of this card without this ability that are inert in base plate. I think that's meant to be extract fodder? Maybe? But they're inert though, I don't know. I don't understand the purpose of this card. Anyways, on to Interrogation Committee. Scrutiny. I I don't really understand this card. It's inert in base plate, so it like refunds itself, but it doesn't do very much. I see the chat saying that you don't want to go over 4 duds. I don't really care. I'm gonna ramp to whatever because this group has a lot of ramp. I would rather ignore the 4 less garbage and just cast something that costs 7 studs. Turn 2. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's it's just so awkward because then it like returns cards to your hand, so you lose the cards that you extract once you use another extract. It's all very strange. Next up we have Interrogation Committee. When you discard a card once, extract this. All allied fighters anti-generate. Uh, were they trying to say once each turn? Um, Interrogation Committee. It's very bad wording. Um, once ever. Once ever on a epic card is kind of, and it costs this. It doesn't even do anything. Extract this. All fighters anti-generate. By not do anything, I just think it means. By that I mean it's kind of pointless. It's like sure, I guess that's cool. My fighters anti-generate too, but I guess I don't want my fighters to actually. I kind of do, huh? And they don't anti-generate if they're inert. So if they've been extracted, they won't anti-generate. I guess I don't understand. Actually, I do understand why it's a once trigger, but I just don't really like the design of this card. It feels really weird. And for oh yeah, let me move on to Infernal Servine Ballistic Mercenary Gambit. Extract the target fighter. If you started with this turn with 4 or less yellow, give yourself a copy of this. Then, if there are 3 copies of this in your graveyard, obliterate them and animate your terrain, except it's 1000, 1000, and unlocked. Um, uh, it's 4 yellow for that every turn. Um, it has to go 3 times. It's kind of, I guess, it works well enough. Maybe it's just not that impactful. Um, and onto the terrain of all of these: the Divine Premove, Salesian Stalemate, and Just Order's Gambit. We have Frick Checkmate. I butchered that one too, probably. This card is immune to transformation and returning card effects. Whenever a card moves from extraction, attach it to this instead. When this card attacks, extract the target fighter. Um, it okay. Yeah, it does something. Um, anyways, this group, I think it's cool. I think it's very interesting. I actually do kind of like the balance of ramping and having your cards no longer generate. I think it's pretty interesting. Um, yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. It wouldn't. I couldn't see this in main game, honestly. Um, but it's a cool concept. Let's see on this slide. I gave it a 950. I like the Just Order flavoring. I actually really wanted them to talk more about Just Order in Necro Syndicates, but too bad. So I gave the theming a 9 out of 15. The appeal I mean, I would probably not play this. But it works. I did like the terrain, as I said here. And yeah, everything else is kind of just cards that don't do very much. Um, the balancing, I gave it a 4 out of 10 originally, but I would actually like to bump that up to a 6. I did think that it was pretty cool. Right. Do you have anything else to say, GST? Yeah. Cool. Okay. I'll move on to the next one. Uh, we're moving on to Dogma. I was a really big fan of this group. Let me just say real quick. Wait for it to load in. Amazing. Dogma is a red-green aggro group meant to constantly pass the torch to your weak fighters and eventually steamroll your enemies in the supposed name of Shidletsky. And here's a little lore. Desperate for power and hungry for attention, Dulles, the false apostle, exploits the despair of Bloxburg after Shedletsky's death and creates the torch to have a stranglehold on the citizens and the politics of the town. How will the city of Bloxburg respond to the newfound cult? How will Telmon himself respond? Yeah, crucified Shedletsky. Anyways, oh, sorry, let me go over the mechanic real quick. The keyword is pass the torch. If there is no torch in your zones, create it. Move your torch wherever it is in any zone to target allied fighter. Then the torch gains 100 power. Here's the note. If the torch is in the graveyard or any other allied zone and the torch is passed, pull it from that zone and attach it to the target fighter. If it is attached to another fighter, move it. If there are multiple torches, all of them are passed and gain a 0-100 stat bonus. Dolus will now add gears past 6 on a card. Here's the torch. It is attached to a target fighter. When this fighter leaves play, attach this gear to a target allied fighter. Oh, when this fighter leaves play. Hold on. Oh, you know what? I was gonna bring up suspend earlier, but I just realized that this wording would make that not an issue. Very nice. When this fighter leaves play, attach this gear to a target allied fighter. Whenever this gear has 500 or more power, it loses 500 power. All allied fighters gain 100 health and power. Very nice. For their starters, we have Steadfast Sycophant. When this card is cast, pass the torch. Once each turn, when a gear is attached to this card, that gear gains 100 power. Cool. I like that. Next up we have Piler. Once each turn, whenever you cast a fighter, pass the torch. So you just get the torch out instantly after that. And hold on 1 second. When this fighter leaves play, does that mean when it dies too? Hold on a second. It leaves play once a fighter dies, and then it gets attached to another fighter, so it's always in play. Uh-oh. Hmm. Anyways, we have Charred Hierophant. Whenever a gear is attached to this card, a target allied fighter gains 100 power. Yep. That's pretty cool. It costs 1 green, so it's a pretty neat effect. I probably wouldn't play it. I can't think of like a good deck that would need it, but it's pretty cool. Next up we have Torch's Voice. When this card attacks, pass the torch. Whenever an allied fighter attached fighter attacks, the newest gear on it gains 100 power. I don't really like that newest gear wording it's kind of hard to tell which gear is the newest one. I I actually don't remember which one is the newest. I think it's the top. No, it's not the top left. It's the bottom right. Anyways, Ashen Audience. Haste. When this card attacks and destroys another, cast the torch. Whenever an allied attached fighter attacks, it gains overload until your next end step. Um, yeah, that's pretty cool. I know the torch could get really big, so like up to 400. So, I think it's pretty cool. It costs a lot, so I think it's fine. Everyone, give me 1 second. I'll be back in like 10 seconds. I'm back. Okay, on to the next one. We have Myriad of Coordinators. It's inert in play. When this card attacks, draw a card. The newest gear on this fighter gains 100 power. Whenever your torch reaches 500 power, attach a copy of this card without this effect to a target fighter. I assume it's the draw a card part that it keeps, and it removes the reaches for 500 power part. I'm not exactly sure though, but that would make the most sense. For the next one, we have blocks cards. I'm not even gonna try and say that. Low key, I'm kind of stupid. When you discard your second card in a turn, pass the torch, then double its stats. Oh. Doubling its stats. It can make it proc twice in one turn. That's pretty cool. For discarding your second card, it doesn't have really good wording. I would like this a lot more if it was when you discarded 2 cards this turn. But you know, you gotta take what you can get. On to the next one, we have Sacrilegious Worship. Summon a burning god, pass the torch for each time an attached fighter has attacked this turn. It's a really weird wording, but let's see what the burning god does. Twice each turn, when a gear is attached to this fighter, unlock a target attached fighter. Oh. Yeah, that seems pretty good. It's not like super broken or anything. I can't think of any like super nasty combos with it. Yeah, pretty sick. Next up we have Delusion of Superiority. Attach Overload to a target allied fighter, except at 0-100. Double the stats of all gears on that fighter, and set its health to 50. It's like burning, I think it's called Burning Justice Strike. I don't remember. Set target allied fighter stats to 50,000. I think it's pretty cool. It's a little scary, and it's also the mandatory double the stats of something, so it fits the brief. Yeah, it's a pretty basic card overall. I think it's pretty cool. Next up, we have Hollowed Reliquary. When this card is cast, pass the torch. Then it gains 100 power for each allied fighter. Whenever your torch reaches 500 power, search your deck for a Dogma fighter. Let me just say, I love this art. Whoever made this art, you were cooking, man. And for the last one, we have Dolus the False Apostle. Whenever effects have targeted 3 or more times this turn, pass the torch and duplicate each gear on that fighter. Oh. That's really good. It creates more torches, and it also will duplicate any gear. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's not too broken, but I'm sure there would be some problematic elements to that as we release more gears in the future. Yeah, anyways, that was Dogma. I personally love this group. I think it works really well. Um, and I think it's just a super unique mechanic. My slide is a little wrong. I didn't read that. Oh, whoops, that's so fortunate. I didn't read that the spend didn't do anything, so I'm just gonna remove that. I really like this group. I think it did a super good job. It didn't really follow the brief at all. But yeah, it was great. Um, well, I didn't see what brief it followed until I saw the two cards that double. I said it was only one, but whoops. It's like I could. Yeah, I mean it doubles some things. There's two cards that double, and oh, if you think that's bad, I can't wait to judge this one other group. Oh, you know what? Graf just brought up a really good point. Divide would probably be really good. Hmm. Yeah, I'm reading your messages, Graf. Thanks. But yeah, divide might be a little scary. More torches. Well, ultimately, it's kind of the same thing as Dolus, so it's not too problematic. I don't think. Well, I mean, torch is really good. You're getting 100 health and power basically like every turn. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I kind of like how they, I kind of like how they function. Low key. No, no, we don't like that one. But if it didn't have a nerd in play, it would be totally fine. I could kind of understand why they would do it, but yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty sick group. Um, I have no clue. Well, they wanted to make it look cool. They want to make it look cool, bro. Yeah, it's tough. Whoa, no way. Oh no. Yeah, but they had to do it for the aura, and honestly, I respect it. It's pretty tough. Um, the green, the green stink aura. Okay, we're gonna move on to my favorite group of this whole comp, Cavernix. I'm sure my other judges have had multiple things to say about this group. Um, if you guys are watching the stream right now, you might notice that that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 tokens. 22 tokens. He, I'm gonna be honest. I skimmed this group. Whoever made Cavernix, I'm sorry. I didn't really read what all your tokens do. Um, it's just I don't. No, no. I just, dude, that's 22 tokens. I don't think anyone wants to read that. That's like a. I don't. I'm not. I don't know. I can't, dude. I can't. But we'll be reading them now. So I'll be reading them now for all of you. So here we go. Are they really all reprints? Oh, this sucks. Okay, let's read the. This makes me so sad. Okay, let's see. Cavernix level up. Level up with terrain that gives you a card each turn with various benefits depending on the level. Okay, I'm pretty sure this just copies that one terrain blessing card, but whatever. The frequently bullied Eclipse spent his turn with a brick to create vast galaxies, as ruthless to exist as peers were to him. This was considered pathetic by Niblix, who in turn devoured his brother's creations. One of these planets was Optera, a planet once infested by horrible monsters that ruthlessly hunted the planet's inhabitants, the Vesperts. The species, however, was able to defeat the monsters with the powerful crystals hidden inside Optera. But when a new threat approaches the planet, they must dig deeper than they ever have before. Cool. That's a lot. That's not a keyword. Mine. Level up your terrain if it's in the Cavernix group. Let's see what their note is. This deck uniquely utilizes inertia to lower the RNG of hands. If you, for example, have an all-blue hand, and the cards you cast will generate yellow, while the base-plated cards also give you blue. It also lets a cast fighter immediately generate if you could get it without your grouped play cards. The name change in the final action is intentional. This I don't know where to start. Do I start with the okay? We'll go with the starters first. I think that okay, yeah. Vesper Miner. Inert in play. During your end step, mine. Once per turn. Whenever you cast Explore, give yourself 1 yellow. Let's see what Explore is. Fleeting, inert in all zones. Choose one of 3 cards to give yourself. These are based on the level of your terrain. It is fleeting. And I assume that's the different levels that you can get from. Let's just... I'll read these later. The Vespert Supervisor. Inert in play. When this card destroys another, mine. Once per turn, whenever you cast Explore, give yourself 1 blue. It's the same. Yeah, I guess. Cool. Vespert Guard. Inert in play. When this card is cast, if there's 2 or more allied Cavernix, this card gains Defender. If this card is attacked and survived, mine. Once per turn, whenever you cast Explore, you gain 1 blue. Okay. 500, 400 with Defender, everyone. That's great. I don't know where lunch break comes from, so I'll skip it. Excavator Drill. Inert in play. During each end step, mine twice. That's pretty cool. Once per turn, whenever you cast Explorer, give yourself yellow. It's so much blow. I guess it works well enough. This inert gimmick. I don't really like it, but it does fit the brief. So there you go. Assault Drill. Inert in play and dexterous. Whenever this fighter destroys another, it gains 100 power. During your end step, if this card is locked, mine. Once per turn, whenever you cast Explore, give yourself 1 blue. Yeah, it's cool enough. Right? I think Excavator Drill is a lot more interesting, but whatever. Courier Vesper. Inert in play. During your end step, if you've mined thrice since the last time this ability... I don't like this wording. If you've mined thrice since the last time this ability triggered, all allied Vespers gain 100 health and power, and give yourself a fleeting Nascent Stud. Once per turn, whenever you cast Explore, give yourself blue. They really love exploring, huh? I'm not looking at all these. Is that no? It's a rare. Okay. Hold on. Was lunch break a? See the. I'm looking at the arts. They're kind of throwing me off. Lunch break, uncommon. All allied Vespers gain 100 health and power. It's just an action that makes all the fighters gain 100,000. Why would you use this? I guess, man. Great. Uh, I already said Vesper. Okay. Selfish Vesper. Inert in play. Twice per turn. Whenever you mine, a target allied fighter loses 50 health and power. This card gains double what was lost. Okay. Once per turn, whenever you cast Explore, give yourself yellow. Okay. Yeah, they really like that. Fire in the hole. All allied fighters on the side of the board take 200 damage. Mine thrice. Because this group needed nothing more than self-sacrifice. Okay. Hooray. Now we got news of the Star Killer. This is like the big action that they're always talking about. Only discard if you've discarded 2 other non-token cards this turn. So it's just you can't discard it unless you've discarded other cards. That's super weird. Give yourself Surface of Optera. If you discard 3 non-tokens, destroy this card from your deck. If you ever have 2 allied fighters, recur this card, and it gains fading and becomes free. This card cannot be cast unless you have 18 or more Vespers in your starting deck. Okay. It gives you your terrain. Let's read what that does now. Surface of Optera. Level 0, max 30. This card is immune to destruction effects. Okay, yeah, I was hoping it would be. During your end step, give yourself Explore. When this card reaches level 11 or higher, transform it into the Minor Cavernix. Whenever an enemy effect targets, lower this terrain's level by 1. No, there's like 20. I said this earlier, but there's 22 tokens. Actually, I think it's less because some of them have the token. It's 19 tokens. Mine of okay, so they're all the same card. Except for Optera under attack, maybe? This card is immune to all effects that would cause it to leave play except animation. During your end step, give yourself Defend. Lower this terrain's level by 7, and if it's at 0, animate it. Whenever an enemy effect targets, lower this terrain's level by 1. Let's see, what's Defend? Choose one of 3 especially strong choice cards. I assume, what is this? Okay, you know what? I don't care right now. Let me just read the rest of the non-token cards, and then we'll go to the token swap. We got Noctia, Opterian Doctor. Inert in play. Whenever an allied Vesper loses health, it gains 100 health and regen. If it's your opponent's turn, it gains an extra 100 health. Once per turn, whenever you cast Explore, give yourself yellow. Okay. This is 4 blue and 4 yellow, by the way. For this. Echo Operations Director. Inert in play. When this card is cast, summon a Vesprit Supervisor and a Vesprit Miner, set their power to 400. The first 3 mines on your turn trigger again. Thrice come on. You don't have to word it like that. Thrice each turn, whenever you mine, trigger it again. Once per turn, whenever you cast Explore, give yourself a yellow. All of the cards have that, and it giving me an aneurysm. Okay. You guys ready for the tokens? Explore is what lets you choose one of 3. So it's like shinies, but like really scuffed. So we got Basic Crystal. It's a 100. It's a 0-100 gear. It has stealth, and it's attached to a target fighter. It's just a target fighter gains 100 power. For the next one, we have Echolocation. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck and choose one. Put it on top. Whatever. And we have Cave Rat. Inert in all zones. Stealth. Cast only if your terrain's level is higher than 0. Lower it by 1. Why would you want to lower your terrain's level? Don't you want stronger tokens? I don't really understand. Um, that's all for the surface of Terra. Anyways, on to the Mine of Cavernix. I think that's the second. Yeah, the mine deep inside and Optera under attack. We have Uncommon Crystal. It's a 150 gear. Attached to your target fighter. Emergency Evacuation. You could only cast this card if your terrain's level is higher than 0. Draw a card and lower your terrain's level by 2. Stop doing that. I don't understand why it's always lowering. It seems very counterintuitive, but I guess it is just free draw, so whatever. And finally we have Horde of Slimes. Cast only if your terrain's level is higher than 0, lowered by 1. During your end step, this card gains 50 health and power. I guess. That kind of sucks, but so does Cave Rat, so it's okay. This is for Deep Inside Cavernix. Inert in all zones, stealth. It's a 150. Attach to a target fighter and unlock it. During your end step, unlock this card. Now we're getting somewhere. That at least does something. And it's free, so that's pretty cool. We have Rockfall. Only cast this card if your terrain's level is higher than 0. Deal 150 damage to all fighters. Draw a card and lower your terrain's level by 2. I'm starting to like these just a little bit more. Giant Spider. Cast only if your terrain's level is higher than 0. Lower it by 2. When this card is cast, lock a target enemy fighter, presumably for 1 turn. It's a 400. It does something. Hooray! And now we have Optera under attack. This is the max level. I really hope it's good things, but it probably won't be. Inert in all zones. Attach this card to a target allied fighter. Unlock it and it gains Dexterous. During your end step, unlock this card. Okay, never mind. I lied. That's really good. That's 300. Yeah. It said they're especially strong, so I would hope so. Destruction of Optera. Deal 1,000 damage to all fighters and animate your terrain. And the last one is Crystal Golem. It's just a 700. That's inert in all zones. Purifying Crystal is the only one to use here, unless you are really losing, then you would want to use Destruction, I guess. Let me Spirit of a Planet Long Gone. I assume this is its terrain. Overload. Once this card gains 50 health and power for each Cavernix card in your graveyard. Okay, all of the tokens count, so it'll probably end up being at least a 1,000, surely, right? Is you casting Explore every turn? Does this group even have a win con? Is it just getting cards? Ugh. Okay, that's all, thankfully. Tokens. Tokens. If your group has 19 tokens, you might want to reconsider your entire deck. Everything's kind of just okay. All the cards have the exact same inertia effects. Lunch Break does nothing. Excavator Drill's probably my favorite card in this group, because it's the only one that actually mines often. But it has a little piss weak stat line, so that kind of sucks. This is the group of all time. This is the cool guys of this group. Yeah. I gave it an 11 out of 15. I don't know how it got that much. We're just gonna lower that real quick because that was a slog, and I would not play that. Sorry to whoever made this, by the way. My first group comp, I got my group disqualified with Endo, so I know it happens. Yeah. So Sorry. Did you have anything else to say about that actually before I close it? Good. Good. Thank you. Anyways, with no further ado, let's move on to Animists. Um, cool. Give me one sec. Right. Animist. Mono green rainbow group that relies around linking fighters for benefits. The ever flourishing planet of Korthran, time before the tyrants have arrived into their system. The Kothran society lives peacefully, with stable communication among their peers and nature itself, with harmony connecting each Kothran in spirit. The planet of Kothran thrives further for the betterment of their community. Their keyword is link. Two allied cards are linked with each other. Two cards that are linked together split their stat changes and share effects with each other. So let's see. This is already problematic. Cards with charges, if they're put on other cards, it will crash the game. Doubling card effects, I think would also behave very crazy. This was never intended to be in the game, and when it is, it has really bad effects. But for all intents and purposes, right now, we're just going to judge as if it works. So we'll just go with that. For our starter, actually we have two starters. Okay. When this card is let's see, Anima Proposer. When this card is cast, link to a target allied fighter. If there are no allied linked fighters, summon a Harmonized Soul and link it to this card. Harmonized Soul. Internal zones and fading. During your end step, if this card is linked, give yourself a fleeting Nascent Stud. Otherwise, destroy this card. This card's color is randomized when summoned. I think it's pretty cool. I kind of like it's cool. I don't know what else to say. Good for the stud fixing. Pneuma Harmonizer. Inert in play. When this card is cast, link to a target allied fighter. During your end step, if this card is linked, it gains 200 health. Yeah, inert in play starter. That kind of sucks. But hey, whatever. We have Kothran Ritualist. Inert in play. When this card is cast, link an allied fighter to another allied fighter. Sorry. Then all linked fighters gain 100 health and power. Yeah, again, it kind of just doesn't make sense with the linking, but we'll assume it all works. Spirit Rights Council. Once each turn, when an allied fighter is linked, that fighter gains 100 health and power. At the start of your turn, if there's an unlinked allied fighter, choose to summon a Harmonized Soul to link with it. Otherwise, give yourself a Nascent Stud. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Cool. Great. Those are all tokens, okay. Kothran Cultivator. During your end step, if this card is linked, give yourself a green card. Otherwise, summon a Harmonized Soul and it links to this card. Yeah, cool enough. I wonder why the Harmonized Souls all link, because they usually get destroyed. No, never mind. It's only if they're unlinked. Yeah, it's cool enough, I guess. It's just a free Nascent Stud at the end of your turn. Kind of like Spirit of Shards. Aeonite Incantations. Summon a Harmonized Soul and link it to a target allied fighter. Give yourself a fleeting Nascent Stud. Yeah, 2 green for Nascent Stud. Not pretty, especially because a lot of the cards are inert. But it does something. We have hiiiii Recollections. Choose a card in your graveyard that costs 6 studs or less that has died this game. Summon that fighter, except it's inert in all zones, and zombified. Link it to a target allied fighter. Uh, I wonder. There's a lot of cards with crazy death effects. I wonder if there's any that would break a lot of things with 6 or less. If I can't think of anything off the top of my head, though, it should be fine. I think it's a pretty cool card, but I'm also kind of scared that it would do something very evil. We have Patenda the Guided. Uh, this card is immune to destruction card effects. While this card is in play, allied cards can link to an allied fighter multiple times. Once each turn, whenever a linked fighter dies, attach a harmonized soul to this card. Allied cards can link to an allied fighter multiple times. That's I don't understand how that would work. But hmm, I guess it makes a little bit of sense. We have Wapangu the Congregator. Overload and inert in play. Whenever a fighter is linked, double this card's power and give yourself a nascent stud. Um, cool. Cothran Conservationalist. Inert in play. This card has haste if there's an allied linked fighter. Whenever this card attacks, it gains 100 health and power. Then it links to a target fighter once. I don't know why it's specified once, but it does its thing. Guardians of the Forest. This card has Defender while it's linked. During your end step, if this card is linked, it gains 200 health. Um, Now I'm just led to wonder: do keywords also go onto the linked fighters? Um, It's all just very strange. Fundamentally, this isn't like a very good mechanic because you have to have like a really big brain to understand what you're doing. And most blocks cards players can't read cards. So that's pretty scary. We have our last card, Aeonite Propagator. Inert in play. When this card is cast, link to a target allied fighter. At the start of your turns, if this card is linked, give yourself a non-epic or legendary animus card. And this card gains 100 health and power. Yeah, it does a thing. Um, Overall, it's pretty cool. I like the stud fixing of the harmonized souls. I think it's really nice. It's a lot of nascent studs, especially with Tenda. But he's pretty expensive, so I guess it makes sense. Um, Wapangu's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a decent group. I wouldn't be super stoked to play it, and I don't think that it gives Green Rainbow really what it needs to function as an actual deck, but I think it's pretty nice. I don't remember what I put on for this. Mind you, I wrote these slides in like 8 minutes, so I gave the theming a 12 out of 15. I did really like the arts, and I like the Cothran um flavoring. I always liked Penda. Too bad he was an Era card because Era sucks. For the appeal, I gave it a 9 out of 20. Green Rainbow is not very good. It hasn't been good since like what 2 years ago, and it doesn't do very much to. Yeah, Green Era really did die when they took off Tenda. Um, and yeah, this gives like nascent studs, which is cool, but it's just not that great. And for the balancing, I gave it a 1. Sorry, it doesn't make a lot of sense at all, and it would also break things. But if we're ignoring that, it just would be super hard to actually like know anything. That kind of sucks. Um. Oh yeah, GST. Do you have anything else to say about that one? I'm gonna take that as a no. my webpage. It's Deck Edge, you know, the cornered rat. Okay, because it's cool. Okay, yeah, Blockwatch is the goat. Anyways, we're gonna move on to Soulforged in a couple seconds. Okay, we have Soulforged. Um, Soulforged is a mono red mid range control group while putting demon engines into your terrain and steadily increasing their power and numbers until you combine and unleash your wrath with catastrophic stats. Let's see. Smoke and brimstone blaze from the yawning gates of the soul forges, enveloping the lands where people have abandoned their humanity and openly wage war against the demonic onto a new creation, a pure creation of steel and soul, the demon engine. The keyword is soul forge. Destroy all gears attached to your terrain. Attach an XX demon engine to your terrain and manifest into a fighter. X equals total stat bonuses are attached to your terrain. Okay. So we'll combine all the gears and put it into one fighter. Sick. Let's start with Brimstone Adept. When this card is cast, search your deck for a copy of Brimstone Forges. It is inert when discarded. You lose 300 life. Brimstone Forges. We'll get to Infernal Defenses after. Once each turn, whenever an enemy fighter is destroyed, attach a demon engine to this card. Whenever this card is destroyed, first Soul Forge. Okay. Let me read Demon Engine real quick. Inert in play, Zombified and Overload. Attach this card to a target fighter. During your end step, if this card is attached to a terrain, it gains 50/50. When this card is destroyed, deal 50 damage to all enemy fighters. That's it's a lot of bread, you know? It's so much. We have Infernal Defenses, the Red Rune Raiders, but action. If you have a gear attached to your terrain, deal 200 damage to a target fighter. Then, if you have 4 gears attached to it, deal 200 damage to all enemy fighters. If there are no gears on your terrain, attach 2 demon engines to your terrain. That's pretty cool. It's really good. Yeah. Let's Oh, so Billowing Inferno is a Terrarian. I'll just get that out of the way real quick. Once each turn, whenever a card is attached to your terrain, summon a zombified 200/200 copy of it. So in the Demon Engine's cases, it'll just be an extra 50 bread. Okay. Why is there another starter on this side? Anyways, Netherborn Architect. When this card is cast, Soul Forge. If you don't, search your deck for terrain. It's inert when discarded and costs an additional white. You know, I actually really like this card. It's like Galaxy if it locked in. Onto Tinkering Technician. When this card is cast or dies, attach a demon engine to your terrain. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It does its thing. And yeah, it's like more bread. We love bread. Up next we have Thunderworld Plant. When this card is cast, Soul Forge. Then, if there's at least 150 total power amongst allied fighters, destroy the oldest card in your opponent's hand. I think the Soul Forge is kind of cool. The 150 power thing, it's always been like a really niche mechanic. But yeah, it's cool. We like hand destroy, I guess. Onto Perdition Recruits. Defender. When this card is cast, summon an inert copy of this card. When this card dies, if it was inert, all gears attached to your terrain gain a 150/150 stat bonus. Oh, yeah. This card really reminds me of Nelta. It's like Nelta if it had bread. Onto Smoldering Husk. When this card is cast, for every 2 gears attached to your terrain, search your deck for a Soulforge card and lose 500 life. Um, yeah, that's a lot of life loss. Oh, whoops. My OBS disconnected. 1 second. There we go. Brimstone Sycophant. Whenever the fighter attacks and destroys another, attach a demon engine to your terrain with that fighter's stats as its bonus. Wow, that seems really good. Um, I assume it means base stats, so that's pretty huge. It costs a lot though. That's like JDX stats, so or cost. I don't know. We got Catreo Lamenta. When oh, it doesn't save. When this card is cast, double the stats of all gears on your terrain. If there are 4 more gears on your terrain, destroy the 2 oldest cards in your opponent's hand. Oh, that's a lot of. Yeah, I was talking about the Thunderworld plant. That's a lot of hand destroy. I don't think that's very healthy. Ugh. Let's see. We have Vulcan Indomitable. This card has immunity to targeting card effects. When an allied fighter dies, obliterate the bottom card of your deck, and attach a demon engine to your terrain with its stats. When 2 allied fighters have died this turn, Soulforge. So that's totally hit or miss. It reminds me of Thek. Um, if you see the stats of these fighters aren't like impressive in any way, but I mean, I guess it has the potential to pop off if you're running like Lego Seed or something. But I guess, um, yeah. Overall, it's a lot of bread. I like the group, but it seems super annoying. Red already has some really good tools, and this just seems like it gives it a lot more. Um, Demon engines, yeah. Um, let's see. I think I forgot to do this one too. Yeah, I did. Anyways, I like the theming. The arts were really nice. I liked how the demon engines followed the brief, how they would turn into the fighter. I thought that was really sick. I would totally play this. The appeal, I would. It would be really hard to not include cards in your decks. They just seem like such auto includes. And the balancing was a 6. It's really annoying, but like, I'm not pulling my hair out over this. So yeah, there you have it. There's Soulforge. You have anything to say, GST? I think he's gone actually. You know what? That's cool. Oh hey, I did not. Is there something about them? Search your deck for a copy of Brimstone Forges. Snare it when discarded. And when this card is cast, Soul Forge. If you don't, search your deck for terrain. What about its? What are you pointing out about it? That it's just. Well, I mean, yeah, it's not like a very good starter by any means, but I would run it in the group. Yeah, that's interesting. It doesn't have any like life loss attached to it or anything, but I would totally use that. Is it yeah, is it a pie break? Sure. Would I use it? Hell yeah. Um, Card destroy. Lamenta, 2 cards in your opponent's hand. That's a lot of destroy. Was there anything else? Cool. All right, I'll move on to the final group that I'm going to be reviewing tonight. And that one is Stud Labs. Give me like a minute. I need to go grab something. We are so back. Anyways, I'm gonna start reviewing Stud Labs now. Stud Labs is a mono-white aggro group. Experiment with studs and use their power to your full advantage. Cast cheap cards to swarm the board and scale them by generating lots of colored studs. An R&D branch that's part of the profit company, Demonic Armament Inauguration and Product and Production Company. Wow, that's a mouthful. Focuses on the researching and testing of stud infusions with objects, specifically ones that will help in the coming Demon Wars. Their keyword is experiment. Attach a random experimental gear to your terrain, then all gears attached to your terrain generate. If you don't have a terrain in play, put the lab into your terrain slot. Let's see. The lab. Whenever there's a gear of each color attached to this card, destroy all of them, then transform this card into the Meltdown. Draw a card. So that's the brief they went for. Whenever there's a gear of each color attached to this card, destroy all of them, then summon the anomaly and transform this back. Draw a card. Oh. Overload. This is the anomaly. Once this card gains 150 health and power for every time you've experimented this turn. Okay. Yeah, that seems really strong. It doesn't have any haste. And it's not unlocked when it summons. So let's start with the starters. I don't think it has starters because they're mono white, but you know. Yes, kind of. We're judging it in a super vacuum, yeah. It's whatever. Um, Stud Assistant. Once each turn, whenever you discard a card, experiment. Then, if you have 2 or more colored studs, you may choose to lose all of your colored studs. If you do, search your deck for a Stud Labs card, except it's inert when discarded. Next up, we have the Stud Labs Guard. Has 2 S's there. When this card is cast or attacks, experiment. Lose all of your colored studs. Gain 50 power for each red and yellow stud lost, and 50 health for each green and blue stud lost. As you'll see here, all of these cards have absolutely abysmal stat lines, and the gears don't have any stat lines. Why would they? But I think that kind of just really sucks because all of them are so small and squishy, even though there's some that have destroy effects. Up next, we have Innocent Test Subject. This card costs 1 white less for each gear attached to your terrain. Whenever you cast another Stud Labs fighter, experiment, then draw a card if there are 5 or more gears attached to your terrain, except it's inert when discarded. This triggers only once per card rarity. Yeah, I actually like this card. I like the rarity thing. It's kind of annoying, but I've always found it kind of cool. Next up, we have Stud Savvy Sponsor. Whenever this card attacks, experiment, then lose all your colored studs. For every stud lost this way, this card gains 50 power. Whenever this card destroys another, gain 2 white. See, this is what I was talking about. You know, this card has 300 health. It's not going to destroy anything. So yeah, that's really unfortunate. Here we have Studologist. When this card is cast, search your deck for a common Stud Labs fighter. Then, if you have no white, draw a card and experiment. Cards drawn or searched this way gain inert when discarded. Fair enough, I guess. And we have Metal Elder Null Demon. When this card is cast, for each gear attached to your terrain, all allied fighters gain overload and 150 power until their next end step. Um, this wins the game if you have 6 attached, but I don't think you can if you have the lab. Actually, experiment is random, so if you get really bad luck, um, then you could probably just win the game because all allied fighters gain overload and so much power. Kind of cool. Vicious Manager. Inert in play. Once each turn, whenever you experiment, deal 100 damage to all enemy fighters. Deal 200 instead if 5 or more gears are attached to your terrain. Yeah, I guess it's a 300-300. So again, it's not living anything, but sure. Decisive Druid. Inert in play. Once each turn, whenever you experiment, all allied fighters gain 100 health. They gain 200 instead of 5 or more gears are attached to your terrain. Sure, again, same issue. Surreal Surveyor. Inert in play. Once each turn, whenever you experiment, draw a card, then draw another card if 5 or more gears are attached to your terrain. Cards drawn this way are inert when discarded. This is the best one of this cycle. That's draw 2. I love draw 2. And then for the last one of the cycle, we have Glittering Intern. Inert in play. Once each turn, whenever you experiment, all allied fighters gain 100 power. They gain 200 instead if 5 or more gears are attached to your terrain. Yeah, so these are all Vicious Manager and Surreal Surveyor are the best ones here. Yeah, and the rest are just the tokens. They don't do anything. They look pretty cool. I like the arts on them. In any case, that's Stud Labs. They're like acolytes, but okay. I think they would work very well with acolytes. But as a group, they don't really function because they died to a breeze. I mean, all of these cards are like 300, 300, 200, 200. They just don't live anything. Yeah, I did read the terrain. Transforms into a meltdown. And it does its thing. It summons an anomaly, which is pretty cool. I like that it's so big. It's probably the thing is your win con, but I mean, I guess. Anyways, my slide for that, I have a theming an 8 out of 15. I thought the theming was fine. I like the meltdown. The anomaly is pretty cool, and actually, what brief does it even follow? I'm trying to remember. The terrain transforms. Yeah. Yeah, it follows its brief. Good enough. The appeal is 13 out of 20. I would play it with acolytes. I think that's probably the best way to play it objectively. And the balancing 6 out of 10. Again, didn't pull my hair out. I would actually give this a 5 out of 10 because all the stat lines really suck. Like Giga suck. Anyways, that that should be it for the groups tonight. I will probably review the other ones on Thursday. And yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go play Shaggy Creepy Run now, so you guys have fun.